Mystro, the darling app that Uber and Lyft drivers use to filter their rides and only get the rides they want and keep their eyes on the road while accepting rides, has secretly gone bankrupt and sold all their assets.
Xbox, Twitter, Uber,
Postmates,
Netflix, MoviePass,
Google,
eBay,
DoorDash,
Apple, Amazon, Airbnb,
The Apptrepreneur. Hey everyone, this is Kevin, the Apptrepreneur. If this is your first time here and you want to see more videos like this, please, I encourage you, click that subscribe button below, ring that bell. It really helps with the algorithm, and we upload on a near daily basis, but you do want to be notified of like live streams and premieres and things like that. So, it's just a nice little thing to happen. I talk about Uber, Lyft, Postmates, and the streaming wars, Disney Plus, Hulu, Xbox Game Pass, once in a while, Netflix. So anyway, with that out of the way, it's been a long time since I've talked about this app. Probably too long, which should have probably clued me in that something wasn't exactly right in the world of it. But let's talk about Mystro. Now, for those of you who are not aware of what Mystro is, and it has been a while, so I'm going to refresh what it was. Mystro was this ingenious little app that was like a huge tool, a huge helping tool for drivers from Uber and Lyft. And what it did was it basically gave you the ability to accept rides without interacting with the app. It would select rides for you automatically. And what that means is, since you're busy driving and your eyes are on the road, if there was like another ride that came in, it would just accept the ride. You didn't have to touch it. And this was very helpful because a lot of people don't realize how easy it was to get a ticket with your cell phone. You go and you tap the phone to accept a ride. You're not interacting, you're just tapping it, really. But the police officer sees you do that, he pulls you over, gives you a ticket. Maestro was made to avoid that situation. Also, they had features in there where, hey, let's say you only want to accept surge rides. All right, it'll accept the surge rides and it will deny the rest. And by the way, it will run both apps. So whatever ride comes up, it will accept the ride and it will turn the other app off. You're driving Uber, and then after you drop off your ride, let's say the next ride is Lyft, it will accept the Lyft ride, turn off the Uber app. It was a really ingenious device. It was an app, really. Now, I suspected this company might have been in trouble because everything it was starting to do, Uber and Lyft were starting to do at one point. Like, Uber and Lyft both started adding next rides into the queue before the other ride was over. That kind of, made the Mystro app not super useful. And also, Lyft started taking some unusual measures where they would actually go into the app and block drivers from using it. Now, I don't want to get into all of that. Needless to say, I have done a full video about that. I will link to it maybe up here. Yeah, up here. And my issue with that, to summarize the video, is that while they technically had the right to do that, because Maestro didn't get their permission to, use the back door to accept rides on the driver's behalf, it was an odd thing for Lyft to do during a time when they were arguing that their drivers were independent contractors and that, hey, AB5 should not be passed because let us take care of our drivers, we will take care of them. And then they were essentially taking away freedoms from the drivers. It was a very weird situation. Well, I have since learned from a source, and I have to say this is, because this is a source, I trust this source wholeheartedly. I trust this source, and this person has given me every reason to believe this is true. But I just have to put the disclaimer out there. This is allegedly. No announcement was made, but I'm going to provide some information that hopefully will show that this probably has happened more than likely. I would say, in my opinion, it's 90%, maybe even 95% that this is a real thing. But I have to put out that it's allegedly. So this person who worked for Mystro and apparently no longer works anymore was upset one day and emailed me and said, do you want an exclusive scoop? Which I'm always kind of like, yeah, I will always take an exclusive scoop on the story. And this person mentioned to me that Mystro had secretly gone bankrupt and liquidated and sold all their assets. Now, they were an employee for Maestro. They made very good money for Maestro and then were were suddenly let go from the company mysteriously, and they didn't know why. They even reached out to the person, and when they shared, let's move aside and let's do this email. And names have obviously been blocked out because we don't want to violate this person's privacy on either side. And their message to them, I will block out. But basically, they said in so many words, thanks for letting me know that Maestro shut down. And they wrote back, it's like, hey, so-and-so, I dropped the ball on letting you know ahead of time, and I do see why you'd be annoyed by that. It was nothing personal at all, just my misstep. I apologize for that. You'll be receiving insert amount of money as a last payment for advisory services. I hope you understand that we did all in our power to make things work with Mystro, but ultimately where we've landed is the best possible outcome considering our financial situation. Now, again, certain details have been blocked out to protect privacy. Needless to say, this amount that was given to this individual was nowhere near what they were owed from the company for their advisory services, and they lost a huge monthly income. And interestingly enough, they still have referral links out there that are still getting people signed up for the service, and yet they are not making those referral bonuses. So in my opinion, Maestro is stealing from this individual and probably other individuals who have this referral code. Now then, this individual told me, in this part I cannot verify 100%, so take it with a grain of salt. But this person confirmed to me that Lyft continuing to block the app was a major problem. The other problem was that, well, apparently one of the heads of the company, I won't say which one, embezzled a lot of money. So the app, or the company, went from profiting about $1 to $2 million a year to not having anything and having to sell and liquidate. So those were the two main factors that allegedly took place that resulted in Mystro being shut down. Now then, here's the interesting thing. If you go to the Google Play Store, you will see Mystro is still up. And you might be wondering, why is this important? I mean, well, first of all, it's still up. So the company who bought them actually is keeping them running. But this is also where we find out who bought Mystro. Because if you start going down here, and by the way, you'll see the star rating totally tanked. There's all these one-star reviews, and the response is not from Mystro. It is from AnyRide. AnyRide is the company that bought Mystro. Now, what does AnyRide do? Well, this is what AnyRide does. AnyRide, cheapest ride fast. So here's the description. This is what the app looks like, obviously. Save time and money every time you ride. Anytime lets you compare Uber and Lyft and call the best ride with a tap. Get the best prices and book easily with the ultimate ride-hailing tool. Choose your destination to see all live exact fare options from Uber and Lyft, then call the best option with a tap. AnyRide is the first app to bring the full power of Uber and Lyft together in one place. And it says, see exact down to the penny fares from Uber and Lyft. Call AnyRide with a tap. Prices are exactly the same as in the Uber and Lyft app. Automatically makes use of all coupons, promotions, and credit on your account. Quickly call a ride to use a destination or a saved fortnight. Quick ride, long press on a ride to automatically find the best ride and call it after a 5-second countdown. And then you have your FAQ. By the way, Juno and Via support for riders in New York is eventually coming. And this app has just a little bit higher rating for than Mystro does at the moment. So my opinion of this is like, well, obviously companies buy one another all the time. And this is a particularly perplexing purchase from my perspective. On one hand, it makes a lot of sense. You have the app for Uber and Lyft that helps out the drivers, and you own the app that helps out in the passengers. So that kind of makes sense on that level. And yet, it's also a conflict of interest when you really stop to think about it. Because here's the thing. The whole point of any ride is to get the cheapest rides. And with Maestro, a lot of the features in there is for drivers and riders. They don't want the super cheap ride. So they're going to use Maestro to block out pool, to block out non-surge rides. They're going to use these features. That's what it's there for. And eventually, I'm sure the company would want these apps to work together. Like they want them to mesh and be one whole company and to complement one another. And here's the thing. You can't have that when you have one company that is trying to help drivers earn more money and one app that is trying to help riders save money. That just becomes a problem. It becomes a conflict of interest. So I wouldn't be too surprised if Mystro started removing certain features in the near future. I suspect at one point you won't be able to block out your pool and lift line rides. You might have to accept all the rides. In fact, it might even be very basic. It might just be seen as an app that drivers use to just accept rides automatically, and there's really no customization you can have. That might be what it turns into. But here's the other thing. I don't think Uber and Lyft would be happy with either of these apps. And we've seen that Lyft is trying to block the drivers from essentially making more money by blocking the features on Mystro. And here's the thing. They will try to stop this too, because the last thing these companies want out there is an app showing each of the services and what they cost compared to one another, especially when really there's no differentiation between the two services. Uber and Lyft function very much the same way. Many of them even have the same drivers, and that's been one of their biggest problems on the stock market. There is no brand loyalty, there's no customer loyalty, there's no driver loyalty. There is nothing about each other that makes them different. And to have an app that basically says, hey, you want a ride, open this app and we'll give you the cheapest one, that's not how Uber and Lyft want to operate. They will definitely be doing something to stop this. In the meantime, but that's kind of a separate situation and a separate story. So, by the way, you'll see that I was a beta tester for this app. I think this was, by the way, pretty... and again, this is all alleged. This is all... If what was said is true, but based on what I have, I believe it is, then what Maestro did was despicable. And this is not the first company that got in trouble with like an employee who embezzled money. But, you know, the way it kind of just goes to show, it's like a WeWork on a smaller situation, where WeWork basically had like a bad leader who was forced out, which put the company in near bankruptcy state, possibly being bankrupt, but yet the high leaders are still going to be paid very handsomely despite letting that person mess it up. And it's another situation where like the everyday workers, the ones who really work hard to build these companies, they're the ones who are going to get screwed. I don't know what else to say. It's rotten, it's wrong, and I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news. All right, so at this point you're going like, okay, so Maestro is no longer a great deal. They're not the company they used to be. They, if this stuff is true, are clearly not the most ethical people in the world. So what is my alternative? Well, thankfully, that's where my sponsors, Maximo, come in. Maximo does everything Maestro does and then some. They actually have Postmates and DoorDash and stuff like that already built in. Just look at this. Supported rideshare apps, Didi driver app for Mexico, Juno driver app, Uber driver app, Lyft driver app, Ula driver map, Zoomy driver app, supported delivery apps, Grubhub, Postmates. Okay, so I guess DoorDash isn't, that's my goof. Sorry about that, folks. But yeah, Grubhub, Postmates, and again, this is just a much better looking app. And if you don't even have to take my word for it, take a look at the reviews. 4.3, and you know, you have 5 stars, 3 stars, and look at this, a response for a 4-star review. That's the kind of customer service that Mystro does not have anymore. They also, by the way, respond to the occasional bad review. You know, some people will have issues once in a while. Like, what's Mystro look like? 2.7, and 1 star, 1 star, 1 star, 1 star. Any ride. You're certainly, yeah, you're doing this right. You're doing this right. So anyway, yeah, if all this stuff about Maestro bothers you, there's definitely an alternative. And from all accounts, the alternative is where's the star grade? Oh, well, anyway, we saw it was 4.3. Yeah, let's go back just to hammer this home. Yeah, see, by all accounts, Maximo is way better than Maestro. What would you rather have, a 4.3 app or a 2.7 app? I leave that up to you, of course. But aside from that, I guess that's where we are going to leave this right now. So I now have to ask, what do you think about all of this? Are you still a Maestro user? What are you going to do from now on? Are you going to consider giving Maximo a chance? I will put a link below so you can check it out. I'd love to know. And by the way, I would love to know, so you can comment below, like, favorite, share, subscribe. And as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one.